Plenty of rubber left on the track here at the Jerez circuit following day 3 of winter testing. A lot of laps completed today. Quickest on the timesheet was Felipe Massa in the Ferrari, a 1:17.879 from him today in the F138. That was on his 30th lap of the day. Early on today he set that time. He managed to complete a total of 85 laps in all in the Ferrari and topped the timesheets by the end of the day. A good day for Mercedes. Nico Rosberg completing 148 laps in the Mercedes today. Good news for them. The reliability seems to be back in the car now. 1:18.766, his best time today. Then came Sebastian Vettel in the Red Bull, the world champion's first chance to get his hands on that car and really tested on this track. 102 laps for him today, a best time of 1:19.052. Kimi Räikkönen in the Lotus, just 40 laps for him today. A lot of tweaks and a lot of changes being made to that car. So not as many laps as Romain Grosjean got yesterday, and didn't match his time either in the end. 1:19.2 for him. Jean-Eric Vergne in the Toro Rosso. We saw Daniel Ricciardo fairly high up the timesheets. Jean-Eric Vergne was as well today. 85 laps for him in the car, a 1:19.2. And then comes James Rossiter, who was the simulator driver for Force India. He was in the car for the morning today, and he's there on the timesheets with a 1:19.303. And after his 42 laps, he came in and handed the car over to Paul di Resta, but unfortunately for Paul di Resta, you can see at the bottom of the timesheet there, just 7 laps completed today for him. A problem developed in the car. They're hoping to have it fixed for tomorrow, and they've said Paul will get some more time tomorrow in the car, and then he'll hand it over to Jules Bianchi for his first run in that Force India here in Jerez. But the story of the day, the world champion, Sebastian Vettel, 3-time world champion, is back in a Red Bull car, the RB9, and he went out this morning to a lot of attention from the media.
It felt good to be out there, and yeah, good to be back in the car. I think the car is working very good. Obviously it's difficult to judge the speed, but in terms of reliability I think it looked pretty good, and yeah, I also feel pretty happy with the car. It might be that there is a certain favourite after 3 tests, but it could be completely the opposite in Australia because it's a different track, a different characteristic. So I expect it to be at least as tight as last year. The regulations haven't really changed. So it's difficult to make up a lot of ground, and equally if you are in the front it's difficult to find something else that makes you really a lot quicker. So I think that's the same for everyone, but the car feels good so far. I think from outside there's obviously not that much new, but mostly stuff underneath, and yeah, that all seemed to work in terms of reliability, which is now the most important thing.
Sebastian, Fernando chose not to come to this test. How important is it for you to get in the car and have that first feel and be involved from the start?
Well, it's good, otherwise I wouldn't be here. So, but I don't think it's a massive disadvantage. It's a circuit where we're not going to race on, so I don't think you miss much. But for us, we've decided that way for many years now, and there's nothing that should make us change our rhythm. So it's good to get back in the car as soon as possible to get into the groove again, get used to the tyres. I think they're a little bit different to last year, but then again, this circuit is quite aggressive on tyres, so we'll need to wait until Barcelona and finally Australia to give a fair judgment.
Everyone says you can't look at the times at testing, but is it nice sometimes to throw down a marker to the other teams and be on top of the timesheet?
Well, it's always nice to be on top. No, it doesn't matter the time of the year, but surely it doesn't matter now. If there's one day or one phase where it matters least, it's now to top the timesheets, and it's most important at the end of the year. So yeah, I think it's good for us now to do a lot of laps to see whether the car is working, and really go from there.
This test is all about, certainly for us, just getting to learn the new car and tick some boxes and start to accumulate some data for the season ahead.
Mark's had 2 days in the car, but 2 pretty full days in the car. You must be pleased with the reliability so far.
Yeah, no, we've completed quite a lot of laps so far, which has been good, and we've managed to get through pretty much most of the program on plan so far. So it's Sebastian's first run in the car today, but so far so good.
What has been his reaction to the car so far?
I think it feels fairly familiar to him. It's an evolution of last year's car, so we've tried to keep the strengths and address some of the weaknesses, and with relatively stable regulations. Obviously the car's an evolution, as are some of the others.
Is there anything on any other cars that have been of interest to you?
Well, obviously there's some interesting solutions that some of the teams have come up with. some of the visual changes are sometimes not the bigger things. It's the stuff that's behind the scenes and some of the detail. But there's some nice detail on some of the cars, and but it all comes down to lap time in Melbourne is when it really matters.
We've seen some teams go for the vanity panel this year, but there is speculation that maybe by the time it gets to the first race, they'll have all been taken off. What do you think on that? I mean, obviously you don't have it on yours, but it's slightly more sloping than last year on your nose.
Well, it's fairly subtle, so that some teams have opted for it, some have gone for another solution. So I think that'll remain the same throughout the year.
And Ferrari this year have turned up with a car that looks an awful lot better than last year. What about the threat of Ferrari? And if Massa can pull out a time like that today, you can only imagine what Fernando Alonso could do in the car.
Well, it depends how much fuel they had in the car. So if they had 150 kilos, then we're in trouble. If not, then who knows? But I think that's the problem with testing times, is that it's impossible to read too much into them, and everybody's working to their own program. For sure, they're a good team, they're good drivers. There'll be a threat this year, as will McLaren, as will Mercedes, and most probably Lotus as well. So it's going to be a tough and tight year this year.
So Nico, 150 laps over 2 Grand Prix distances. Are you knackered?
No, actually I'm very happy, because I've never been as well prepared for the season as this year, because I remember that in previous years, day one, I was always a bit tired, and today no problem. I mean, really, of course I have a few pains here and there, but really top form, and that's why I'm very pleased.
So can we call the Mercedes W04 reliable now?
Well, today was very reliable for sure, and I think the last 2 days were just massively unlucky, because they were problems that A, they're quite small things, but B, that you're not able to solve them within a day is just very unlucky. They just came about in a terrible way, and today really made up for it though. Today was fantastic, and it really put a smile on everybody's face. You can see in the garage, because it's a fantastic achievement to drive from Silverstone to Spa distance-wise in one test day with the F1 car with no problem whatsoever, just pounding around the laps, very consistent, everything, and I'm feeling good, because I have a very good feel with the car. I can push straight away, very comfortable. Of course, there's still work to be done. We have some balance problems, especially too much understeer. Understeer is when I turn, but the car doesn't turn, so I can't get around the corners. That's understeer. So that we need to work on.
Important 3 days. Even if I did so many things that is like a straight line test, doing slow laps, constant speed. I mean, ramps, a lot of things that is not like really a test that you try, you run all the time, quick, trying to find the balance of the car, try to find the setup and everything. So I did a lot of this on the first 2 days, So, and not as many laps I expected to do. But I have to say, even not doing as many laps I expected to do, I think it was important. I think it was positive. I think everything we did, it was important to find a little bit the right direction, to work in the car. Today, I mean, I managed to do more runs, more laps. I managed to do even to try different tires, which was a soft. I improve a lot when I try the soft. I managed to improve a big amount, even more than I expected as well on the soft. So, but I think even the consistency of the car, I mean, everything is not so bad. I mean, I didn't work on the setup. I didn't take, like, for example, a morning that this morning we're gonna work just on the setup, try everything possible. I didn't have time to do that. But is not. I can say that the car was not, in the really difficult to drive. I think the balance was more or less in the good direction.
First day testing the car today, the new Sauber. How did it feel?
It was a great experience, because it was my first test as one of the main drivers for the team. Of course, the atmosphere, it's different. My feeling, the perspective, it's different. I have my engineer, I have my crew. And it's a great chance to improve the communication, to adapt to all the procedures of the team, and that, in all of those things I feel very comfortable, and so far has been a very positive day.
How was the car on the track here? I know it's difficult because it's a very different track to what you'll experience, but how was it?
Yes, it's different, but at the same time, it gives you the opportunity to experience that difference. So it gives me as a driver more knowledge on how the car is reacting to different circumstances. So, and as well to get to know the tires in a more aggressive way. It's also important, as we all know, that the Pirelli tires, are meant to be this aggressive.
It was a really, really positive day. Obviously, after the first day, we had a few problems. We've managed to iron those out. And yesterday, with Lewis in the car, we had a few little more issues, but we've got rid of those. And today, we did 78 laps and got some really good running in. We really focused mainly on the day of just doing long race runs, but we managed to get a good couple of runs in at the end, and the car really did show its potential, and I was very happy with it.
I was going to say, how does the car feel?
Yeah, it was good. After last run, I had smiles all round, and everyone else in the team was pretty happy. So we haven't done any setup work yet, and that was the first, quick run, and it was very promising.
One last driver to hear from today, and he joins me now, Valtteri Bottas. Valtteri, how difficult is it to be running a lot of parts from the old car with some from the new car here?
It's not that difficult. It still feels like the same car we had last year, but some new bits, and we are trying some new improvements in it. So I think we can carry some of that for the test in Barcelona, where we finally get the new car.
Were you able to learn much from the tyres? Were you able to get much out of them, the new tyres for this year?
Yeah, we got some info. Of course, the weather here and the track is quite rough for the tyres, so maybe it will be not the same case during the season. But for sure, we get some general info, and we are trying to gather as much info as possible, because it's in the end the condition here is same for everyone.
What is the feeling like at the moment? Is it a feeling of, can we just get to Barcelona and run the new car, please?
Yeah, it's quite exciting to get to try the new car, and especially for me, rookie season, and then getting to try the new car will be something special. And I think everyone at the factory have high hopes for the new car, and we are definitely aiming to do one more step like we did last year. So.
Now you're in the full seat. We saw you helping set the garages up at some of the races last year. Will we still be seeing you do that?
I remember I promised to the guys that even if I'm race driver, at least once I will come and help them. So,
have you decided which one yet?
No, we'll see, but for sure at some point.
All right, listen, thanks very much for talking to us. We hope to talk to you when you've been in the new car too.
Thank you.
So Valtteri Bottas there. Difficult for Williams, obviously running last year's car with just some of the new parts, but they will bring the new car to the Barcelona test. Tomorrow it's the final day of testing here in Jerez. Join us for that. We'll have live updates throughout the day on Sky Sports News, and we'll bring you a roundup on Sky Sports F1 HD.